want you to picture something. You're walking down the street on your way to work, or maybe you just stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. You glance up at the sky, just like you've done countless times before, and there it is, the moon, still, silent. But in the blink of an eye, something changes. The moon is looking back at you, and the most terrifying part, it starts to move, slowly but steadily, drawing closer to Earth, closer to you. Tell me, what would go through your mind in that moment? How would you react? Since the dawn of civilization, humanity has looked up at the moon with awe and wonder. Poets, astronomers, dreamers, but never as a threat. And that's exactly where The Moon Woke Up begins, a cosmic horror series created by Mr. Friend, a channel known for crafting eerie animations built around specific phobias like megalophobia, thalassophobia, and, in this case, astrophobia, the intense, irrational fear of celestial bodies and outer space. The Moon Woke Up invites us to look at the sky in a whole new way. What we're shown here isn't just an alternate history, it's a complete shattering of our understanding of the universe. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who responded to the pinned comment in the last video and for the incredible support you always give me. Remember, if you'd like to be featured in the next video, make sure to reply to the pinned comment where you'll find this question. What would you do if the moon was about to crash into Earth? Yeah, I know, it's a ridiculous question, but surprise me, get creative. Without further ado, don't forget to leave your precious like and subscribe to help the channel grow and reach more people. Every like is one more coin to escape poverty. If you're unsure what to comment, just type meow in the comments section and I'll give you a heart in return. Comments are incredibly important and help the video a lot, so don't forget to leave yours. Welcome to The Moon Woke Up. It all begins with a historical and entirely real event, the Apollo 11 mission. The year was 1969. In the midst of the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union, the entire world watched with anticipation as the Saturn V rocket launched from Cape Canaveral. The mission was clear, ambitious, and unprecedented: to land a human being on the surface of the moon for the very first time. On board were three men destined to become legends: Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. For days, their names echoed through every home, every newspaper, every corner of the planet. Humanity held its breath, waiting for the moment that finally came. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. In our world, that step was taken. It was a resounding success. The mission became a symbol of progress, courage, and triumph. For a brief moment, the moon felt within reach. A dream come true. But in this story, things didn't go so well. Here too, Apollo 11 launched. The objective was the same, the promise of glory, just as strong. But as they neared their destination, the crew encountered something wholly unexpected, something that wasn't supposed to be there, something that defied all logic and understanding, an anomaly that left them frozen in place. The moon was beginning to change. Two deep craters opened on its surface, but these weren't ordinary craters. Their shape, size, and alignment perfectly resembled a pair of eyes. Then, a massive crack began tearing through the lower half of the satellite. Slowly, that fissure stretched into what could only be described as a mouth, a grotesque smile. This wasn't just a geological shift, it was a manifestation of consciousness. The moon was alive. The moon had awakened, and it was leaving its orbit. From that moment on, everything humanity thought it knew about the solar system stopped making sense. In a panic, the astronauts tried to contact Earth, but there was no response. The electromagnetic distortion caused by the anomaly had cut off all communication. One by one, the systems began to fail. The command modules spun out of control. None of the commands worked. Desperate, the crew made the decision to abort the mission. But it was already too late. The gravitational pull of this mutated moon had begun dragging the spacecraft like a mere toy. The ship was destroyed, every astronaut's worst nightmare. Its remains scattered in every direction, drifting helplessly through the void, and the astronauts' bodies, still alive, still conscious, were flung into deep space. In that moment, they knew. They were going to die. Their fates were sealed. Their corpses would drift through the cosmos for all eternity. Through the vacant gaze of one of them, we see the moon, now transformed into a cosmic entity slowly approaching Earth. A direct path, unstoppable. And then it happens. Impact. An apocalyptic event unlike anything before. The final blow for souls who had already lost all hope. But this was only the beginning. Just before the episode ends, the camera pulls back, taking us beyond, into the silent corners of the solar system. And that's when we see it. Other planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, now bear the same haunting features as the moon, watching us from afar. From now on, we'll refer to them as awakened planets. The moon isn't the only threat. What could have caused all of this? The second episode takes us to an ordinary street in New York City, exactly 1 month before the lunar impact, June 20th, 1969. There, a street preacher is delivering a fiery sermon. He claims he's seen the signs. The chosen ones are already among us, and many are in the middle of a transformation. He also insists the government is hiding the truth, and that the so-called awakened will be arriving very soon. To most, he probably just seems like another madman. After all, cults and doomsayers like this tend to emerge in times of crisis or looming catastrophe. But I'll tell you this, nothing he says is a lie. How does he know all of this? Maybe the answer lies in the mask he's wearing, because it bears an uncanny resemblance to the face that appeared on the moon and on other nearby planets. Perhaps these entities are capable of influencing certain minds, especially those who are vulnerable, suggestible, or spiritually receptive. Of course, the man calls himself Mr. Friend, a clear nod to the creator of the series. From there, the story jumps forward in time. We're now 5 days away from the catastrophe. This time, we're inside an ordinary home in the United Kingdom. A man is getting ready to leave with his family. They're clearly in a hurry, short on time, and he's trying to get everyone moving, especially his son, Michael, who's sitting on the floor, completely absorbed in his drawing, unaware of the tension around him. The boy doesn't respond. He completely ignores his father's words. But when the man walks over, we see what Michael's been drawing: awakened planets. And all the while, the television is showing nothing but static, until suddenly, without warning, it cuts to what seems to be a broadcast, a message we can't understand, a transmission that very likely came from those same awakened planets. Michael is no longer Michael. His face has changed, now bearing the same unnatural features as those cosmic entities, and everything points to him being one of the chosen ones the preacher warned us about. It seems these planets not only have the power to hijack our electronic devices, but also to affect and mutate living beings from across unfathomable distances. The next scene takes us to Namibia, to a Himba community. There, drawn with precision, is the face of the moon. People are worshipping it, honoring it like a god. The footage cuts out, replaced by an emergency news broadcast. The images coming from NASA are chilling. Something is happening on the lunar surface. Reporters' voices overlap in panic, but one voice stands out clearly, a desperate plea for God's mercy, because this might truly be the end of everything we know. And it was. What we see next is a couple relaxing on a beach in Sicily, Italy. They're completely unaware of what's going on. For them, it's just another sunny day, but not for long. Through their eyes, we'll witness the end of the world. Five years have passed since the calamity fell from the sky. A recovery unit known as Bravo 6 now roams what's left of the Earth's surface. The camera follows them as they walk through rubble, ruins, and dust. Everything that once resembled civilization has been wiped out. The full scale of the tragedy is confirmed: 3.2 billion dead, 90% of the world's population gone. The oceans have completely evaporated, water is scarcer than ever, and that's when we're faced with the question: can the few remaining humans find a way to survive? But more importantly, what other threats are lurking out there? As this question hangs in the air, the camera pulls back, beyond the atmosphere, and what we see is breathtaking. A colossus towers in front of what remains of Earth. It's Jupiter. But the episode doesn't end there. The final scene shows Bravo 6 stumbling upon a pile of children's drawings buried in the debris, and among them is one we immediately recognize. Michael was the artist, but one drawing stands out above the rest. It depicts a new figure, one we haven't seen before. A being with a dark, dense core and countless tentacles spreading outward in every direction. Could this creature be the source of everything? July 20th, 1979. 10 years have passed since the moon collided with Earth. The first thing we see is a group of astronauts standing on the moon's surface, seemingly conducting some sort of research. Unfortunately, we don't know much beyond that. What was once an unforeseen catastrophe has become humanity's new ground zero, an event that split history in two. What little remains of civilization has been struggling to rebuild, but the world is still in ruins. The worst part? The cosmic threats haven't gone away. They're still out there. Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus remain suspended in space, completely still. They don't move closer, they don't attack. They just sit there, watching. No one knows why, but their very presence has trapped humanity in a state of permanent alert. It's in this context that we're introduced to an organization that will change everything. The Frontline Research Initiative for Earth's New Defense, better known as Friend Industries. It's the most ambitious project ever attempted by what's left of humanity, a final hope funded by the last surviving world powers. This massive corporation is headquartered in Egypt, right on the outer edge of a high-risk region known as the Umbra Zone. The Umbra Zone is the name given to the impact site where the moon crashed into Earth. It spans a radius of 2,800 kilometers, an area that's sealed off, hostile, and contaminated. The radiation levels coming from the zone are so extreme, not even animals can survive there for long. Around its borders, soldiers and scientists walk in protective suits. Every step is filled with tension. Inside Friend's main facility, operations never stop. Scientists, engineers, and specialists are hard at work on what looks like a satellite. But soon we'll learn it's much more than that. It's a high-tech probe called OSIRIS-7. Its mission? To be launched directly toward Jupiter. Not long after, a second probe is revealed. OSIRIS-12, this time headed for Saturn. But before we find out what happens to either of them, the story pauses to show us another side of this broken world. While science advances behind closed doors, millions still fight every day just to survive, searching for water, food, and shelter. In the ruins of a collapsed city, we see a man, likely starving, catch a rat. He kills it with his bare hands and eats it raw. The scene is brutal, but also revealing. The rat had been feeding on a strange, pinkish fluid, thick, glowing, and clearly radioactive. A fluid that, as we'll soon learn, isn't just toxic. We return to Friend's operations. Both probes share one key detail. They carry something called the Black Iris payload, a mysterious cargo. No one explains what it contains. The probes are now entering their target orbits. First, OSIRIS-7 approaches Jupiter, but then its navigation system picks up an anomaly, a small gravitational spike that wasn't in the calculations. The transmission starts to glitch, and then from the planet's surface, a moon emerges. It's Callisto. The moon shoots out like a missile, slamming into the probe and obliterating it instantly. All contact is lost. The same happens with OSIRIS-12. As it nears Saturn, the pattern repeats. Another moon, this time Titan, is launched from the planet and destroys the probe in a single blow. The awakened planets are fighting back, and they're using their own moons as weapons. They will not allow humanity to get close. They will not tolerate exploration. They will not permit observation. Following these results, any mission involving Uranus is immediately called off. The story shifts back to Earth. Next, we see a team of Friend soldiers patrolling the outskirts of the Umbra Zone. Amid the rubble, they spot a lone man. At first, they assume he's a survivor, but as they approach, they get a closer look at his face. It's twisted. His eyes are hollow. His skin stretched unnaturally tight. It's the same man we saw eating the rat, and this is what he's become. All because of that pink fluid, likely created by the moon's impact. Just imagine what would happen if this substance contaminated our water or food supply. Humanity would be utterly doomed. Suddenly, the man lunges at the soldiers. He's violent, unhinged, unresponsive. There's nothing human left in him. And if you're paying close attention, you'll notice something chilling in the background. A towering, pale, humanoid figure appears just before the attack. Now we understand one possible way a human can become one of the so-called chosen ones. What we still don't know is whether Michael, the boy from episode 2, was also transformed by ingesting this strange fluid. If that wasn't the cause, then maybe his transformation was something else entirely. Maybe it was forced. Maybe it was triggered by direct psychic or spiritual influence from these awakened planets. At the end of the episode, we see that strange creature again. This time, it's inside the Umbra Zone. At the entrance, we notice more traces of the glowing pink substance, but as soon as the creature senses it's being watched, it flees. We're no longer just dealing with awakened planets or mutated humans. Now something else is moving among the ruins of Earth. 15 years have passed since the moon's impact. 15 years since the world changed forever, and humanity is still standing. This fourth episode opens with a propaganda ad from Friend Industries, reminding us of that first tragedy. The moon crashing into Earth, wiping out billions of lives. The images are stark. Famine, ruins, a raw, unforgiving post-apocalyptic world. Friend Industries has become the only organization with absolute power over what's left of civilization. They claim to have saved humanity from the brink of extinction. And now, through a cheerful promotional video filled with upbeat music and inspirational narration, they call on everyone to join their cause, the rebirth of the planet. But something tells me we shouldn't trust them so easily. An organization that rises to power in a broken world, no matter how noble its mission sounds, will always carry the risk of becoming something dangerous. They go on to present their main divisions: the Weapons Development Team, the Hydrogenesis Research Division, the Repopulation Program, the Umbra Marine Corps, the Research and Development Department, and finally, the Space Program. Wait, you saw it too, right? In the Research and Development Division, we see a friend agent holding a chainsaw in front of a restrained man. They're experimenting on humans, but that's not even the most disturbing part. Surrounding them are massive containers filled with the glowing pink liquid, a substance we'll now come to know as moon juice. As we already know, it's directly linked to the infections and mutations we've seen so far, those that led to the creation of what this episode begins to call the Moonfected. Friend Industries doesn't just know about this substance and its properties. They collect it, they store it, and most likely, they use it in their research. But for what purpose? We don't know if they're trying to understand its nature or simply exploit it for their own ends. What's clear is that behind this bright and hopeful facade of unity and reconstruction, something far darker is taking place, and it's getting harder and harder to ignore. Whatever the case, their methods seem to violate every ethical principle imaginable. Then the story takes a sharp turn. This time we follow a squad from the Umbra Corps Marine Corps sent on a new mission deep into the Umbra Zone. The team rides in an armored vehicle. Inside, the Marines bicker and trade insults. One of them casually reveals his plan to secretly extract some moon juice and smuggle it into Europe, where it's traded for food stamps. This pink liquid, as dangerous as it is, has become a sort of weaponized drug, highly sought after and extremely valuable. The squad is clearly divided, constantly arguing with one another. That's when the squad leader steps in and orders everyone to put on their anti-radiation masks, revealing something important in the process. The radiation in the Umbra Zone can trigger mutations, but before, it wasn't radiation. It was a type of cosmic frequency that caused those transformations. Now everything starts to make sense. The squad finally reaches the site. There's tension in the air, and then everything goes wrong.
Okay, we're here. You know the drill. Umbra Initiative 1642. In and out in 2 hours. Why couldn't they just drive us there? I bloody hate walking. Stay on my 6. What the hell? Wait, don't shoot! Don't shoot! You moron! You just killed our squad leader! Well, what? She was trying to make love to him. Is he alright? Nice going, Tin Man. Won't have to worry with you around. What the hell?
Capable of ripping through space-time and gripping gas giants as if they had solid surfaces, a being that defies the very fabric of our universe. Moments before the portal appears, we see two astronauts from Friend Industries' space division going about their routine duties as they wait for the incoming replacement crew, which arrives shortly after. They share a brief, friendly exchange. Everything feels calm, normal, but the final events of the previous episode begin to unfold. Only this time, we learn something new. It wasn't just one portal that opened, it was several interdimensional rifts, one for each awakened planet, each with its own colossal hand. We no longer know whether we're dealing with a single being, or multiple entities of the same kind. What we do know is this: their arrival triggered a massive gravitational distortion, plunging everything into absolute chaos. 150 years have passed, the biggest time skip so far, and the world has changed completely. Earth, though still scarred, has bloomed once more. The oceans have returned, cities have risen again, order has been restored, scientific breakthroughs once thought impossible have been achieved, civilization survived, and at the center of it all, again, is Friend Industries. No longer just the world's savior, but now a global regime that controls everything, not just the so-called lunar juice, but also the interdimensional rifts themselves. From orbit, we see a massive ring-shaped structure, and it appears to be capable of generating one of these portals at will. Now seems like the perfect moment to hit pause and talk about the tone of this series. The Moon Woke Up presents itself as a cosmic horror story, and it is, at least partially. Yes, there are truly disturbing moments. I mean, who wouldn't be terrified by the moon suddenly coming to life and crashing into the Earth? But alongside those scenes of tension and dread, there are sequences that verge on the absurd, the ridiculous, and the openly comical. And don't get me wrong, that's not a flaw. It's part of the show's identity. This isn't a story that takes itself entirely seriously, and it doesn't have to. For every terrifying moment, there's another scene that feels ripped straight out of a dystopian comedy, often followed by something completely nonsensical, like the moment we're told that despite Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus being absurdly close to Earth, they've been positioned just outside the gravitational influence zone of Lagrange, trapping our planet in a balanced gravitational trio. Now, that idea makes no real astronomical sense. Lagrange points are specific regions between two massive bodies, like the Earth and the Sun, where a third object can remain in stable orbit due to the balance of gravitational forces. But placing three gas giants, each hundreds of times more massive than Earth, just 9 million kilometers away, would cause instant annihilation. Jupiter alone would wreak havoc on global tides, destabilize Earth's rotational axis, and might even strip away the atmosphere. And if you throw in Saturn and Uranus, it doesn't take much imagination to see the consequences. You see what I mean, right? And we don't even have to go that far. Just look at the 150-year time skip. In just a century and a half, we go from a devastated planet, 90% of the population wiped out, oceans evaporated, the surface in ruins, total infrastructure collapse, to a partially futuristic civilization with gleaming cities and space structures capable of generating interdimensional portals. That alone is completely impossible. Even under the best conditions, humanity could never achieve that level of technological advancement so quickly, especially from a state of total reconstruction. But the series doesn't try to justify it, it just shows it. Because that's the point. The Moon Woke Up doesn't aim for realism. It aims to be shocking, unpredictable, and sarcastic. And honestly, it works. Instead of focusing purely on existential cosmic horror, it leans into absurdist comedy as well. Does any of it make sense? No. Is it consistent? Not really. Is that part of the charm? Absolutely. It's a story that mixes horror with the ridiculous, and once you accept that, everything clicks into place. Anyway, back to the story. We're taken inside a secret Friend Industries facility. There, a man wakes up, a test subject. The only survivor out of a group of 86 candidates. The others? Dead. Boiled alive. But not him, which makes him irreplaceable. His name? Well, we know him as Subject 24X. The lead scientist wastes no time. Once his physical and mental stability is confirmed, the man is strapped into a chair, moments away from being transformed into a super soldier, into a weapon. We're told that they've spent decades working with Element 75U, a perfected variant of the original lunar juice, now designed to enhance human capabilities without causing madness or grotesque mutations. The experiment is a complete success. And finally, the episode closes on an image of Neptune, which, by the looks of it, is about to open its eyes. The latest piece of content comes in the form of a promotional merchandising video, but there are several details worth a much closer look. It opens with footage that appears to belong to a classified archive, internal material that, until now, had never been made public. The first recording is dated September 14, 1959. We see the surface of the moon captured by a Soviet probe, Luna 2. But as one might expect, what's recorded is far from normal. At first glance, everything seems calm, but then the lunar surface begins to behave strangely. For a few brief seconds, two circular formations slowly start to open. Eyes that open, watch, and then shut again. The exact same phenomenon would later be observed on Jupiter. Another segment shows a probe observing Mars, implying that this planet too might be awake. The implication is clear and devastating. That street preacher was right. The governments had known the truth for a long time and chose to keep it hidden. But why? And once again we come back to the same question. How did he know? Maybe he was just a stand-in for the creator of the series himself, which would explain his name. An all-knowing figure trying to warn us back in episode 2. But the most disturbing part is yet to come. What you're seeing now is a recording from August 2nd, 1977. 8 years after the impact. What it shows is deeply unsettling. A row of human beings suspended in mid-air, held in place by metal harnesses, perfectly aligned. Throughout the footage, you can hear them screaming in despair. What we're witnessing is something known as Friend's Pen, and the name says it all. This dark organization was rotten from the very beginning, an institution that sees human lives as nothing more than resources, instruments to be used and discarded. Alright, that's all for today. If you want more videos about this series, don't forget to support this one as much as possible and share it with as many people as you can. That said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love reading them. Also, make sure to follow me on my other social media platforms, where I post exclusive content you won't find here on YouTube. And most importantly, a massive shout out to the channel members. Seriously, thank you all so much. If you'd like to become a member, just click the join button next to the subscribe button to unlock tons of perks and exclusive emojis while supporting me. If you're interested, join in. I'll be forever grateful. And remember, this video was made by a cat and cats can't talk. Thanks for watching. Take care and see you soon.